People, deluded Gooner, I'm back again now. I've just got home on this Friday afternoon, and yeah, I've seen the news with Robholding. I've wanted to rush home to read the statement in full for myself. You guys know I'm a big fan of Robholding, and it's a shame that he's ruptured his ligaments in his left knee, and he's going to have surgery, and he's now out for estimated 6 to 9 months. So without a doubt, he's missing the season. At best, we can hope for him to be back involved with Arsenal in terms of being playing or rehabilitation in terms of being able to play on the field around August or something like that, which would be pre-season. So it sucks. It sucks. This is a part of life, and this is a part of football. Setbacks are a part of life and football, and it happens. And I don't advocate these things to happen to anybody, but it couldn't have. It always happens to the nicest of footballers and the nicest of players. And Holding, he's had to be very patient. I mean, regardless of your opinions on Socrates, Mustafi, and all of them players, they've had more playing time than him, so he's had to be patient. And this season, he was patient. When he got his chance, he took it, and he's played 9 consecutive Premier League games in a row. He's obviously playing in Europa League. He's made 60 odd appearances for Arsenal now. He was lacking experience, but he's gaining it. He was looking more confident. He was looking actually physically stronger for me, and it looked like he gained a yard of pace. There's still some things around his game that he can improve, but he was making progress. And obviously he was more or less, you don't want to say he was a starter at Arsenal, but for me anyways, Socrates and Holding, you've seen all my previews, in every game I'm saying them two centre halves. So for me anyways, he was a starter. For Unai Emery, I assumed that he was getting there, and he was playing in free at the back. He played at United away at Old Trafford. He was a United fan growing up, so it was a big game for him. Sad that he got injured in that. It looked like his knee locked, and instantly I feared the worst. And like I said, it's a shame. Obviously, he needs to just focus on Arsenal, but because of the form and playing and stuff, he's a footballer. He must have been thinking about England. You look at Joe Gomez and a couple other young centre-halves that I've had there looking, and my heart goes out to Joe Gomez as well, because I saw that he's got an injury. He was injured against Burnley. Not that it says of any consolation to Holding, but I'm happy to see that Joe Gomez's one isn't as serious. I think it's 6 weeks. It's still a long time, and it's still hard because he's a footballer at the end of the day, but it could have been worse. And there's not really anything anybody can tell Rob Holding. I know everybody, and me and everybody, including you guys, were sending him support, were sending him nice messages. Obviously, the players were doing that. It's nice to see the togetherness from our players, and all of these kind little things. And I think he'll keep his head up, but to be honest, if we was all in that situation, words can only do so much. So he must have been downbeat. He probably thinking, why me? And it's easy for me to sit here and say that, but my only advice could be to him, instead of saying why me, think try me. Minor setback for a major comeback, man, because it's sad. It's sad because now he's going to be robbed of 9 months where he showed initial promise, where we've already got question marks over our centre halves anyways. There's already injury issues. There's a lot of games to be played. There's a lot of claims to be staked in terms of first team football, and he was enjoying himself and playing football. It sucks, people. It really does suck. Like there's not much more I can say other than it sucks. 6 to 9 months. He's gonna have the article on Arsenal Fan TV on Arsenal.com is saying he's gonna have surgery in the next couple of days. So yeah, hopefully his rehab goes to plan. I don't think it'll be anything like Santi Cazorla, but if you look at a lot of our players, it seems to be that it takes longer than usual. So I want them to get it right. I'm not saying to rush him back, but it sucks, man, that his season's essentially over. And now I don't know what we do in regards to centre-halves, because God willing, nobody else gets injured. But for me anyway, these are the people I'm considering as options off the top of my head. Mustafi and Socrates, obviously. Koscielny's fit of some sorts to play football again. He's still not all the way there. Koscielny's there. Monreal's injured at the moment, so Monreal can't be called on, but Monreal is there. I mean, you saw Wenger play Kohler at centre-half. I wouldn't play Kohler there. I don't think he should be played there, but you might have to consider it. The same with El Nene at centre-half. So, obviously, there's the talk of bringing back Chambers and things like that. Ironically, he's played in midfield recently for Fulham, but we're down to our bare bones. And I've said we've obviously got Medley and Ballard in the youth ranks, and Shafe, but I've said we needed a centre-half in the summer, regardless of the players we had already. We need to bring one in. Almost forgot about Mavropanos, but I do think there's a serious issue with him. I mean, we haven't seen him in the start of the season. From start till now, we ain't seen him. His delay, he keeps getting pushed back in regards to his fitness. And I do think, I don't think it's Unai Emery's fault. I wouldn't say it's Unai Emery's fault, so please don't get it mixed up. I think, personally, without knowing anything in regards to the training and the fitness and all of these things, I personally think it's a thing where because we're up in intensity and we're playing week in, week out, I think our players are at increased risk of injury because statistically we're running more, so we're obviously doing more high intensity movements in training and more power based sort of stuff. And again, forgive me, I don't know because I wasn't there, but if we just was to assume, I don't think Wenger was doing all of them sort of things. So we've had to adjust to it. So when you see Monreal, and on top of it, a lot of these players are playing week in, week out, like you sort of Holding. He even got 60-odd minutes in the Europa League before the United game. Oh no, sorry, before the Spurs game. So you see Mavropanos' thing pushed back. Kohler's one was pushed back for a minute. Mavropanos as well. Monreal, if I haven't said him. Just a couple of things. I still think we're adjusting to the heavy demands that in training and things like that. But Holding's was clearly a contact injury. I've seen some idiots on Twitter saying Rashford did that on purpose. No, he didn't. It's an unfortunate thing. His knee locked. Like, you could see it. You could see his knee locked, and it did look bad. And I was praying that it would actually only be, worst case scenario, 6 months. I was praying that it wasn't his ligaments, because although I'm not a physio, when you hear the word ligaments, you know people are in issues. It sucks. At the end of the day, this is a man's health at the end of the day, away from football. He's probably on crutches, or he might not even be able to walk. I'm not too sure. Again, I'm not a physio to be giving accurate answers, but he's gonna have surgery now. Hopefully that all goes well. God willing, it doesn't give him long-term health problems long when he's finished football, because obviously footballers, they're more, I wouldn't say they're guinea pigs, but every week they're doing little things they not only are they getting surgery more or less every week when they're injured, minor and corrective, they're taking painkillers and things to play through the pain. They're doing things that make the body recover quicker than a usual patient. So there's a lot of things that I personally feel footballers, when they retire, will suffer from. I mean, the only positives Holding can take is that when he's fit and he's available and he's going, he can chuck it to any of the centre halves, and his manager believes in him. He's 23, so he can get back, man, and he has no choice but to be positive, because as sad as this is, life goes on. Like I've said in the previous example, it's sad, people. He has every right to be feel hard done by and feel sorry for himself and things like that. But whether you want to feel sorry for yourself or whether you want to get up and fight and try and get fit and stuff, life goes on. Now I think he's a fighter, but life goes on. We all go through tragedy, both with injury and family issues. Like, let's just say this, God willing, doesn't happen, but let's just say everyone I've ever loved in my whole life has died. I've lost everything, financially, prospect-wise. I've lost everything, people. I'd be valid in feeling sorry for myself, but life goes on. I can continue sitting here and feeling sorry for myself, or I can get up. Life kicks. It's sad, but Holding might very much suffer a long-term injury again in his life and stuff like that. I hope it's wrong, people. For me, it sucks. It really does suck, because you look at the first few weeks in the season, he had to wait, man. He was on the bench for the first 5 weeks. He wasn't even in the squad in the defeat to Chelsea. He got his chance against Everton. He got 51 minutes. We won 2-0. And since then, he was more or less in every side. That's what? Everton, Watford, Fulham, that's 3, 6, 9. So what, 10? That's about 9, 10 league games he was starting. Obviously, he only lasted 36 minutes against Manchester United because he happened to get injured, sadly. But yeah, he's played 60-odd times for Arsenal, 30 for Bolton. So he's still, not only is he a young man, he hasn't played that much first-team football, which I've been saying is a reason for his naivety a lot. So he's been robbed of development. Like I said, it's the first year under the new coach. I hope we win stuff. It's the first season under the new coach where the fans are pulling together, the players are pulling together, the club is pulling together, win, lose or draw. There's a feel good whether we win, lose or draw. Obviously, we're looking at things we're not doing right, but we're pulling in the right direction, and he was a part of that. And to see that he won't be a part of it, and I mean, if we have the season where I want us to have, where we play, get into the top 4 and possibly win Europa League and just some sort of cup, it sucks that he won't be part of it, essentially. He's 23, so he's the same age as me, so I sympathise a lot with him, man, because it sucks. He's had to wait for football for the last 2-3 seasons at this club, and when it really comes and he's playing, these things happen. Nobody wished this on him. Nobody could have seen it happen, man. Holding, keep your head high. I know it's easier said than done, man, but honestly, I love you as a footballer, and I don't know you, but I love you as a person, man, because I really think there's a lot of potential in there. You're better than Cannavaro, bro. Stay strong, man. Stay strong. I know, again, it's easier said than done, but just stay strong. Don't rush yourself back. Stay level-headed. I know it's hard because you're going to be, when you're doing rehab or you're sitting at home watching TV, you're going to be knowing what the players are doing. They're at training. You're obviously going to see the private Snapchats and messages they send you. Obviously, you're going to be watching on Sky Sports and at the ground and stuff and in the change rooms, and you're still going to be a part of it, and that's testament to the club. But you're not playing you're not playing sort of thing, and that hurts, man. I mean, it's sad. It's really sad, man. Like, I really, banter aside, it doesn't matter what club you support. I've never liked people who mock injuries, or I've never actually liked when players get injured, man. It's people's health at the end of the day, away from your football team, or what I'm saying from a selfish point of view. We might not have we have a lack of centre half options. It's a man's health. This is a man's leg. This is a man's ligaments. Again, I'm not a physio or a doctor, but I know what a ligament is. I can't comprehend. I'm going to look on Google, but I can't comprehend the movements or how essential ligaments, specific to the one in his knee, actually is for everyday movement, let alone football, and the complications that could possibly come with that being ruptured or damaged and whatnot. Obviously, there's even complications with surgery, so we have to keep my man close in our thoughts, man, and our prayers and things like that. Holding, keep your head high, man. I know a lot of what people are saying is not going to really help, but you're going to have to be stronger than ever now. You're really going to have to be stronger than ever. And I know you've probably got a good set of people around your friends and family, so I don't think it would be an issue, man. But yeah, man, it's real depressing. It's real depressing. It's really upsetting for me as well, man. Like, I'm actually upset that he's injured, man, because I've been calling for Holding to play. He's getting games. He's not been perfect, like I said, but it's nice to see him. He's looking confident. He's growing as a man, as an individual, and as a player. And he's been shot down. Essentially, he has to start again. And I still think we need a centre-half. And I don't, depend on what Unai Emery thinks, depending on what happens with other players, maybe Holding comes back to a side where he has to start again as fifth choice, or if there's any other options, or the team might look completely different. It sucks, man. It sucks. Him being injured. It sucks Welbs getting that serious injury as well. Like, it really sucks. So now what? Mavropanos, Holding, Danny Welbeck, Monreal at this moment in time. We've got a couple of minor and major injuries about and things like that. So that's probably one negative we could look at with the season so far. Other than that, it's been good, man. And yeah, man, it's a shame, Holding, man. But no one ain't going to forget about you. Don't rush your recovery, and just come back 10 times as strong, man, because you're a man with extreme potential, a man that was developing, and a man that I believe has the potential to be a regular at Arsenal. In fact, not even the potential. You should be a regular at this club, and you're only going to get better and better with confidence, with games, and with experience. And you've been robbed of it for the next 6 or 9 months, but you're 23 years of age. So if we look at that, you've still got, what, 7 to 9, 10 plus years in the game, because 10 years time you'll be 33. So you still got 10, 12 years. Just what's 10, 12 years to 9 months, 6 to 9 months. Just get it right, man. If I was him, I'd want to rush back. I'd be targeting to do it in 6 or less, to be honest. But we all know how much of an issue that can create. So take your time, man. Please take your time. But on that note, it sucks, man. He was coming into his own. He signed a new deal, a new show of faith with the manager, getting game time, playing in big games as well, like against Spurs and United on the spin as well. So it sucks, man. But yeah, all I can do is just say, man, I'm sorry it's happened to you, Holding, and just keep your head, man, and I wish you the most speedy and straightforward recovery. On that note, people, guys, deluded, I've really got not much more to say on that, man. It's upsetting, but if you have, comment, subscribe, and do the rest, man. Like I said, Holding, speedy recovery, stay safe, and stay safe to everyone who's bothered to watch this. Thank you very much for watching this, for commenting, for subscribing on all my videos in any capacity. It means the world, people. I'm not the biggest, I don't have the most resources, barely get any recognition and things like that. So it's obvious, any little recognition, any little comments, when you lot take the time to do anything, honest to God, man, I appreciate every bit of it, man. And with that being said, I don't want to take up any more of your time. So people, thank you for being you. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and do the rest if you wish. But I'm going to get out of your hair now. People, deluded, I'm back again now. It's sad to hear about the news with Robholding, but I know initially after seeing the news that he's going to be out for 6 to 9 months, we're thinking, what the hell do we do at centre-half now? We're in a bit of a pickle. January's round the corner, so we probably have enough to whip it and play around with our centre-half options to probably see us through into the new year. But we need to sign a centre-half. We needed to sign one when everyone was fit and available at the start of the season. You guys know I was very vocal on us wanting a centre-half. We keep signing centre-halves year on year out, but you get the point, innit? It sucks what happened to Holding. Chambers initially was spoken highly of with Unai Emery in pre-season, and he still spoke of him highly when he went out on loan, and he said he needed to get experience and them things. But me personally, I have to wonder, like, and it's not necessarily a negative of Chambers. It actually might be a positive of Mavropanos and Holding. But we all know them three they're good centre halves, but I wouldn't, for want of a better word, they're not none of them trio there is really experienced. We look at our senior options; they're not really convincing. So there's a bit of we're in a bit of a pickle. There's a bit of a disparity between the playing staff. So, yeah, maybe something happened in pre-season in the last few weeks that conceded. Alright, cool. Chambers is going to go on loan. I'm going to go with Holding and Mavropanos as my options, as additional centre half options. Regardless, he went on loan to Fulham, and it was designed for him to do exactly that: play game time. Now, Fulham, they obviously got a new manager, and they've been in a bit of a pickle as a club. I'm not watching Fulham religiously, but when I do, or maybe not so much now, but in the initial weeks or first few months of the pre-season, of the season, you're seeing everybody play everywhere. It's not just Chambers. I've seen Chambers play in midfield, play at centre half, play at right back. The whole defence. If Chambers not in the side, sometimes he's not even called up in a match day. They're picking different defensive options without a doubt every week, and that's not how you build stability. So it wasn't going good for him. I mean, the first 2 weeks against Palace and Spurs, he got 90 minutes, and then against Burnley, he got 18. 2-2 draw against Brighton, he only managed 3 minutes. He was on the bench in the 3-0 defeat to Manchester City. 90 minutes at centre-half in the 1-1 draw against Watford. Obviously, he can't play against Arsenal, so he wasn't in the matchday squad. He wasn't in the squad for Everton the week before Arsenal. He only got 45 minutes against Cardiff in Fulham's defeat. He wasn't in the squad in their defeat against Bournemouth, and he was on the bench in their 1-0 defeat against Huddersfield. So, after the first 4 weeks of the season, in which, including the Brighton game where he got 3 minutes, he was, let's just look at from match week 5, which is City. He's gone what? Bench for them. Fair play, he played against Watford, so that's 2, 3 against Everton, 4, 5, 6, 7. So for 7 weeks, or so, it was a bit in and out. He got 45 minutes. He got a 90 against Watford. Sandwiched in between Cardiff and Watford was not being involved against Everton and Arsenal. Cardiff 45, like I said, not in the squad against Bournemouth, and then benched against Huddersfield. He's turned the corner because since then, probably when Ranieri came in, he's played well for me. I remember that game specifically. Fulham were very unlucky against Liverpool. They only lost that in the last few minutes. He had a good game in midfield. The same goes for the Chelsea game. And when I looked at the highlights for Leicester, obviously I didn't watch that game in midweek, but it looked like he had a good game there. Now, we want Calum Chambers to be a centre half immediately at this club. He's versatile. That's one benefit he does have. He was actually a midfielder way before he was a centre half, but he's probably running the risk of maybe to a degree. Stones at a point was going to have this, because Stones could play in midfield. He was chipping in at right back at Everton, and he's a centre half now. You risk becoming, but he's defined himself now. You risk becoming a jack of all trades, master of none, in the sense that you're a manager's dream. I mean, to have in a squad, in the sense that you could use him at centre half, you can use him at right back, you can use him in midfield, but does he really excel at anything? If you was to say his position, I'd say it's centre half, but would you say he's a centre half? I would, but would someone else, based on the information I'm presenting you? If he was to come back to the club, of course it's going to be a loan spell. I don't think he'd play at Arsenal in midfield, or shouldn't, but he has done it at Arsenal before, and we shouldn't discount what that could bring to the squad now. His passing isn't that expansive. He's better than people give him credit for, and he's not going to be the midfielder we want, but he's setting himself up well to come back and have some sort of football here. If I'm honest, I think we might just sell him in the summer, to be fair. I don't want him to, and I think it's 50-50. I think it's 50-50 in the sense that if I'm Chambers and I'm playing football and having a decent time of things at Fulham right now, am I going to play football at Arsenal next year? Am I realistically going to be able? Would the manager say, with his honest hand on his heart, is there a realistic chance that I can compete all week in training and have a realistic chance of starting on a match day? I'm not too sure. And if I'm Calum Chambers, I know Fulham, it's been a bit of a mixed bag, but he's playing more football at Fulham. Middlesbrough 2 seasons ago, he had a good time. Arsenal, he's been here for how long, and he's only made 83 appearances. Does he concede that, all right, cool, let Arsenal make a little profit on me? I was signed for 16, let's make the 16 back, or 20. Let me go somewhere I can play football and get some stability, because it needs to happen. There could even be a case of him staying on loan at Fulham if they stay in the league, or going somewhere else. Should we recall him in January? I'm not sure. I want us to bring in the centre half. Obviously, matters are complicated because let me see if I can find Arsenal's injury list. Arsenal injuries. Come on, man. Someone's got... All right, goal.com. Let's see what you're saying in terms of our injuries. No, this isn't helpful. Okay. So Monreal's currently out with a hamstring injury. Mavropanos we've been told he's got this groin injury. So that's Monreal, Mavropanos, Holding. Koscielny's back, but he's obviously not at the level he once was a few years ago. He's obviously just come back from a lengthy layoff, so he's not going to be 100% there. So that's probably 4 options at centre half. If need be, you can force El Nene there. I wouldn't advocate it, but you need to remember Kohler can, maybe not very well, but he can play at centre half, so it's another option, I guess. That would be the last thing. I'd rather play an academy centre half in Medley, Ballard, Shafe before I put Kohler there. But do you see what I'm saying, people? There's a lot of... It's a headache. And if you look... I know, sadly, Holding got injured against United and it happened, didn't it? But if you look at... There was an incident. Socrates looked like he was hurt. Mustafi looked like he was hurt. We're going to need to rotate. Games are coming thick and fast. I think we have enough until January, but we definitely need to consider bringing back Calum Chambers. Or what I would actually advocate for is to bring in a centre-half. I say that because... Yes, immediately from a selfish Arsenal fan point of view, you want Chambers to develop, but it's catch-22. He's not going to be able to play games if our centre-halves are fully fit realistically. If he gets there and he plays in form and he keeps his spot, then cool. But realistically, I don't think Emery, for this season at least, is going to play. He's going to take Mustafi and Socrates consistently out the side for Calum Chambers unless Calum Chambers excels. So... From a selfish point of view, it would make sense to bring him back just for the depth, whether he's involved in the match day or not, just to know if something happens, we've got someone there. But I also think about this, like even when, it's silly, but even when I play Football Manager, I don't necessarily think it's always wise to, you sent someone out on loan for the season, so they should stay at that club on loan for the season. Obviously things can happen, but I think if they're having joy like what Fulham's getting out of Calum Chambers recently, or Chambers is getting out of Fulham, then allow him to stay, allow him to see it through. And if I'm Chambers, I'd probably dig my heels in and say, all right, cool, playing at Fulham's hard enough. Arsenal, you got however many options, formation changes. Am I realistically going to play? Because we've seen him play at fullback for us. It doesn't happen, and realistically, he's not going to get in ahead of Bellerin. Centre-half, I think he's got the ability to develop into a decent centre-half here or somewhere else, but it's debatable. Midfield, I think that's a myth. I would keep him, but I can't lie, people. Money talks. If for 20 million or something, I must admit my stance is changing on Chambers. Maybe because he's not at the club, I'd want to keep him. 70% want to keep him. 30% if the money's right, everyone's got a price, sort of thing, people. So yeah, there's also other things. I mean, I suppose you could play one of the midfielders as a half-back, which is El Nene. But yeah, it probably throws our 3 out of the back formation out the window with Holding's injury at this moment in time. We probably have to go 4 at the back, 2 conventional centre-halves. We've still got people available, but and Koscielny's technically going to be involved in the 18 against Huddersfield, and he's realistically going to start against Yarabag on the following Thursday, like was said. But we'll see, man. We'll see. But yeah, man, Chambers has been playing well in central midfield, or playing well in midfield for Fulham, and it's good. It's good for him. He's getting experience. He's ultimately playing. He's ultimately shown that he can take on information the managers told him and imply some consistency. It doesn't really help him long term because he's a centre half, and even if he was to revert to being a midfielder full time, it's debatable. Would he be able to play at Arsenal? Would he realistically be able to start at any top club in the Premier League? Would he? I'm sure he's got England aspirations. They're a long way away, but would you concede that you could get in there? Now you could look at Dyer and say if Dyer can do it, then Chambers can. So you never know, but yeah, I probably think Dyer is probably a bit more suited to midfield than you in a degree, but. I suppose if Dyer can do it, then Chambers can learn from that and be sort of jack of all trades sort of thing. But then again, with not to dig out Dyer, because I like Dyer, away from your silly banter on Sunday that you look stupid about. Dyer, jack of all trades, master of none. I would say he's a centre-half. My Spurs fan supporting friends say they don't want him at centre-half. He does well in midfield, and it's done well for Poch, with Poch's selfish point of view from a manager that he's got someone that can play that midfield role. But what is if Poch leaves tomorrow, or if Dyer joins another team, what is he? Because I wouldn't say he excels at being a centre-half. He's found his niche in midfield. We've seen him play at full-back, at right-back. Clearly, that's not his thing. At centre-half, especially from set pieces, he switches off marking, and he switches off in a lot of defensive phases. So midfield is his thing at the moment. But again, jack of all trades, is he really a master of any? If you was to say Dyer, I'm sure Spurs and have an appreciation for him, clearly, and Pochettino has an appreciation for what he brings to the squad. But what is he? Are you a centre-half? Are you a midfielder? Are you a fullback? You can see why even Southgate brings him, because he's adaptable. And I'm not getting at the player or not. I'm just using the counter-argument, because I side with Poch and that sort of logic. But the counter-argument, the counter to what I'm saying is, what are you? If someone says, what are you as a midfielder? I mean, as a player, I could only say utility man at this moment in time, because I know where you've played historically and what I think you'll be long-term. But I'm sure you lot get the point what I'm trying to make. So On that note, people, deluded, comment, subscribe, and do the rest. I'm out.